What's up everyone and welcome back to the MMA Zone. Today, let's get started with Aljamain Sterling retains bantamweight title with a win over Henry Cejudo. Henry Cejudo had his big return to the octagon spoiled by Aljamain Sterling in the main event of UFC 288. After 3 long years away from the octagon, Cejudo was admittedly hopeful that he would capture gold at 135 pounds before eventually making the move to featherweight to challenge Alexander Volkanovski in a clash of champions. After 5 hard-fought rounds, the Funkmaster was awarded the decision and the bantamweight title. Quickly, #1 contender Sugar Sean O'Malley was welcomed into the octagon for a heated face-to-face stare-down. While Sterling's future seems to be at 145 pounds, he'll look to defend his bantamweight title once more as he faces off against the dynamic striker. On the flip side, Cejudo spoke to Joe Rogan for his post-fight octagon interview, where he remained non-committal about his future in the sport. According to Triple C, if he's unable to beat Aljamain Sterling, then his plans to recapture bantamweight gold and move up in pursuit of the C4 title seems quite a ways off. Although he didn't fully close the door on fighting, Cejudo admitted that this could be the last time fans see him in the octagon. Despite that, ESPN's Brett Okamoto was quick to throw out a potential fight between Henry Cejudo and Max Holloway, given that the former 145-pound champion currently finds himself in limbo after 3 losses to Alexander Volkanovski. At the same time, Irish superstar Conor McGregor was quick to revel in Cejudo's defeat, posting a video on Twitter where he congratulated Sterling on the win, calling it the easiest money he's ever made. In addition, McGregor offered some advice to Cejudo, getting Triple C back for the criticism the former Olympian has continued to pile on him in recent years.
Right, Coach Mac Daddy in the place, show you what's poppin'. Okay, Henry, this one's for you, my man, right? Some of the things, oh my God, you blew my... I couldn't believe what I was seeing, right? So you were here like this, right? And you were doing this, and I was like, you were doing this little thing, and I was like, what the f*** is this guy? I've never seen nothing like it. This guy is a f***ing genius, yeah? So you were doing this really well, yeah? If you'd have just done it this way, man, you're a clean shot, bro!
So far, no response yet from Cejudo. However, given the animosity between the two, it seems like it's only a matter of time before Triple C takes aim at his longtime rival. Belal Muhammad defeats Gilbert Burns, secures #1 contender spot. In the co-main event of UFC 288, Belal Muhammad picked up a big win over Gilbert Burns to punch his ticket to a title shot. The decision victory cemented Muhammad's place as the #1 contender at welterweight behind Colby Covington, who's expected to fight champion Leon Edwards later this year. This will likely put Muhammad into position to weigh in as the backup fighter for the upcoming Edwards versus Covington fight as well, meaning that if the challenger were to pull out, then Muhammad would get to step in on short notice. With the win, Muhammad now sets up a potential rematch with Leon Edwards, should he wind up defeating Colby Covington later this year when the two fight. In the first fight between Muhammad and Edwards, Rocky seemed to be finding his rhythm before an eye poke early in the second round forced the referee to stop the fight. Although there was talk of the pair running it back, ultimately Edwards then wound up fighting Nate Diaz at UFC 263 to secure himself a crack at the belt. During the co-main event bout on Saturday night against Belal Muhammad, Gilbert Burns seemed to injure his left shoulder on a failed takedown attempt. As a result, he found himself unable to throw his left hand as the fight progressed. After the bout, Conor McGregor was quick to weigh in on Twitter, calling the title eliminator a very poor bout, before then calling the fight piss poor. The tweet quickly caught the attention of Belal Muhammad, who responded on Twitter by questioning when the last time McGregor won a fight was. As fighters have continued to point out, McGregor seems to find a way to make himself the center of attention during big fights. However, there's still been no word on when he'll return to the octagon. Who do you think Belal Muhammad winds up competing for the title against? Daniel Cormier snubs Jon Jones from Mount Rushmore of MMA fighters. Prior to the UFC 288 pay-per-view clash on Saturday, UFC Hall of Famer Daniel Cormier and outspoken analyst Stephen A. Smith got into quite the interesting back and forth when Cormier was asked about his Mount Rushmore of MMA fighters. According to the former 2-division champion, his list of fighters includes Royce Gracie, Chuck Liddell, George St. Pierre, and Khabib Nurmagomedov. The way Cormier explained things, he knew that Smith was going to be livid over Jon Jones not being on the list. As Cormier pointed out, however, there are certain things Jones has done that excludes him from contention. While he stated beforehand that he knows Smith will assume he's harboring resentment towards Jones, he says that isn't the case.
As a guy that's been in there with him twice, I will tell you, he is the man. He came back, became heavyweight champion of the world, but I can't forget all the things that he has done, Mr. Smith.
Okay. Of course, Cormier also notably left off Anderson the Spider Silva, whom many believe deserves a spot on the list given all he's accomplished in the sport. Despite that, Cormier believes the impact Royce Gracie and Chuck Liddell made on the sport, as well as the dominance of George St. Pierre and Khabib Nurmagomedov, give the two men the edge given that none tested positive for PEDs. Who do you have on your MMA Mount Rushmore? Drop your thoughts in the comments section below. Before we continue, make sure you give that like button some love and be sure to subscribe to the MMA Zone for all of the latest news. Alex Pereira predicts Israel Adesanya's next fight. Former 2-division Glory kickboxing champ Alex Pereira recently gave quite the prediction for how he thinks Israel Adesanya's next fight plays out. Although the two have continued to throw shade at one another in recent weeks as they debate their rivalry, Pereira thinks the last stylebender is poised to deliver a masterclass if he winds up competing against Dricus du Plessis. During a recent video for his YouTube channel, Poatan spoke about a potential Adesanya vs du Plessis fight, saying, "Let's speak about if du Plessis wins. I think it will be a massacre. Adesanya knows this. He wants to make history. He wants to have an easy fight. For me, it's du Plessis. He's way easier than Whittaker. He wants to make history and collect wins, and he knows it's a good fight for him." Of course, first, du Plessis has to get through Robert Whittaker this summer in a fight that will see the winner punch their ticket to a title shot. Heading into the bout, Whittaker is being hailed as the overwhelming favorite, given that he's managed to run through many of the division's top contenders. Who do you see getting the win and securing a fight with Adesanya? Drop your predictions in the comment section below. Dana White reveals why Khamzat Chimaev hasn't fought. On the heels of Chimaev's dominant first-round win over Kevin Holland back at UFC 279, many fans thought he would return to the octagon sooner rather than later. After then sitting out through Ramadan, it was revealed that Chimaev likely wouldn't return to the octagon until the end of the year, where he will make his return to middleweight against Paulo Costa. Despite that, many have questioned why Chimaev will sit out until the end of the year, given that he wouldn't have fought for a year by then. In addition, he recently expressed a desire to main event a fight night card in Sweden this summer at middleweight, before then dropping down to welterweight to compete at the end of the year in Abu Dhabi. According to UFC President Dana White, the reason Chimaev has not fought is because of problems in his personal life. During a recent interview with TSN's Aaron Bronstetter, White gave an update on Chimaev's status, saying,
That's on him though. He's got stuff going on in his personal life. That's not because, we're not getting him a fight. Obviously, you know how it goes here. I talk about this all the time. We have to get guys 3 fights a year. So if we don't get guys 3 fights a year, we have to pay them. So the only way that wouldn't happen is if they have personal stuff.
From the sounds of things, we won't see Chimaev back in action until after summer. Thank you so much for joining us today. What do you make of what's going on in the fight world? Make sure to like this video and subscribe to the channel to stay up to date on all the latest news from the MMA Zone. See you next time.